Hi everybody, thanks for joining me today. Welcome back to another edition of Astrology with Alec. Today we're talking about Gemini. So from the beginning of the Zodiac we started with Aries, Cardinal Fire. Next up was Fixed Earth, Taurus. Now we have Gemini, Mutable Air. A mutable sign means that it is changing from the springtime into the summertime. So mutable means the change, the transition from one season to the other season. Gemini brings us from the spring into the summer in the northern hemisphere, and it's going to be reversed in the southern hemisphere. So mutable signs are all about change. They're bringing transition. They're rapidly changing things, especially being a mutable air sign. Gemini is one of the quickest moving of all the signs. They're constantly in transition, always doing something new, thinking about something new, talking about something new, in motion. Not only are they mutable air, they're also ruled by the planet Mercury. If we think about the rotations of Mercury, those are the quickest circles. Mercury is moving fast, doing hot laps. So that represents the way that Gemini moves around as well. It's like this rapid motion, kind of like constant restlessness. If I think about a elemental feature to describe Gemini, I like to think about the trade winds, the winds of change. Gemini brings change through the air element. Bringing change through the air element. So oftentimes that means doing it with the mind, with communication. They're constantly communicating new ideas, new concepts, so that other people can consider changing. And the twins represents a dual nature. So it's like they could be this way one day, and they could be this way the other day. Gemini is one who's able to wear many hats, a jack of all trades. They usually have a wide variety of interests, and they're constantly picking up new ones because they're just so curious. Like, they really want to know about all the different things. But they're usually not the type to go deep into one topic as much. They like to have that variety. So it's all about variety with Gemini. You gotta keep them interested with constant stimulation and action. Gemini also is associated with the nervous system. So there's this sense of like nerves, like really quick perception, quick feeling. They oftentimes, like, Gemini has considered and made their mind about something before somebody else has even like noticed it. It's like boom, that fast. They've already like understood it and made up their mind about it. So there's really like a quickness of mind and intelligence that comes with this sign. So my previous partner and one of my closest friends are both Gemini. So Gemini Sun, Gemini Moon. The double twins, so there's like 4 of them. It's a lot of different personalities moving around. And being a Libra, that's one of the signs that I'm compatible with, because they keep me moving and I kind of balance them out. Slow them down a little bit. Gemini and Libra can talk forever, kind of. They'll just keep back and forth, because those are 2 signs that are really able to discuss a viewpoint from a perspective that's not their own, you could say. Like, they can play devil's advocate really easily. One of my favorite quotes my friend Ben Donnelly said to me recently was that he was like, just because I say that I'm disagreeing with you doesn't mean I disagree with you. This describes the Gemini personality really well, especially the male Geminis, I would say. They're like, they'll take the opposite side in an argument just to like maintain the banter, you know, because it's just boring if you only have everybody's just agreeing with each other. Like you want to have some back and forth, some verbal sparring. So Gemini loves to play that game, but they don't take it too seriously. It's like kind of all a game to them. It's all for fun, and it's not to be taken too seriously. In a sense, a lot of times they feel that about life too. It's like it's a fun, challenging game that they're playing, and just enjoy it. Get out there and have lots of different experiences. What else about Gemini? I was thinking actually, one of my favorite artists also is MC Escher, and I believe he has that same combination: Gemini Sun, Gemini Moon. And if you know his work, it really makes sense because he creates all these pieces that are all about the mirror imaging. So reflections of reflections of reflections, symmetry, radial symmetry, many different kinds of symmetry. And Gemini is it's in a sense, that's how they understand the world. It's like this mirror of getting out, and by communicating themselves to others, they come to a greater understanding of themselves. It's all about talking. Gemini will talk your ear off if you let them. They got a lot to say. Another thing I notice about some of my Gemini friends is when they arrive in a room, they'll immediately say something, even if there's like a group of other people, like, doing whatever conversation. They'll be like, guess what happened, blah blah blah. Guess what, and this and this and this. Because it's like they've been traveling, they've been driving in their car by themselves, just like waiting to say this stuff to somebody. So there's like this restless verbal communication that comes with this sign. It's always fun, always exciting with the Gemini. They keep things in motion. Let's see, what else about the Gemini? I was trying to really move fast while describing the Gemini, because that's how I feel like they talk and communicate. But it's not me, so it's we'll say my Taurus moon is slowing me down. But oftentimes with this sign, like people who are like writers or speakers or teachers, like working in communications, the Gemini usually doesn't want to just be like sitting alone, like not, not involved with other people. Like they really need to communicate and want to communicate and understand the world through doing that. That's also an association with the planet Mercury. Mercury is all about communication. So there's the double with Gemini is the air element plus the Mercury is like communication. It's all about communication, folks. Also a masculine sign. All the air signs are masculine, which means their energy is outward focused. They're taking action, as opposed to the feminine signs, which are water and earth. Those signs are more receptive, feeling and sensing things. Gemini is like out taking action, like always in motion. Probably said motion like 10-15 times during this Gemini talk, but it's appropriate. It's also helpful to consider the opposite of the sign when you're thinking about one sign. Considering the polarity helps us to come to a greater understanding of the sign that we're talking about. So Gemini and Sagittarius are opposite. Gemini, mutable air. Sagittarius, mutable fire. And so Gemini is always seeking to understand through rational comprehension. Like if they're a child, they'd be one of those kids who's always asking why. Like they won't just accept something on faith just because somebody said it. They'll always be like, why? What can tell me more? Why? Tell me more. And it's not even that they're necessarily like challenging you, but they kind of are. They just want to know, like, is this something you've really thought out and understand? Or is this something that you're just kind of saying and you haven't really thought through? So they'll always be testing you mentally to see how well you've considered the viewpoint that you're putting out there. When we think about metaphorical age, Aries, the first sign, is 7 to 14. Or is it like that? Sorry, I'm getting confused. I know that Gemini, yeah. So Aries is 1 to 7. Second sign is Taurus, 7 to 14, and then Gemini is third, 14 to 21. So that means symbolically they're the age of a teenager, coming of age and finding yourself through communicating with the world. That kind of playful but rebellious teenage spirit is often within the Gemini people. Like they like to play around. They like to play some tricks and mess with people a little bit because they have this sort of just what's the word? They have that trickster energy. Let's say it's all about fun. The Gemini, the part of the body that's associated with Gemini, the shoulders, the arms, and down to the hands. So Geminis really like to have something to do with their hands. They have some restless energy, and a good activity for a Gemini is juggling. Gemini, work on your juggling. Another thing, so I was talking about the polarity, Gemini having to understand everything hyper-rational. It's like the challenge of Gemini sometimes is the strength of their opposite, Sagittarius, is to like really know and have faith. Like Sagittarius has these powerful beliefs that they just have faith in that thing. Gemini has like this constant analysis. So that's the polarity there. Sometimes for Gemini it's just helpful to let that drop, you know. You don't have to analyze everything. Sometimes you can just feel it and know. Good luck with that. So if you want to know more about your birth chart, if you want to go into the whole picture and hear the story, send me a message. I can give you a birth chart reading and a manifestation session. So that's all about looking at who you are astrologically, but then also, who do you want to be? Where are you going? What are your goals? Let's figure it out and make some magic happen in your life. Because it's powerful to look ahead and communicate those things together. So I did Aries, Taurus, Gemini from the beginning. Next up is going to be Cancer, the crab. Got a lot to say about that one. The Moonchild, coming right up. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good night. Have a good weekend.